So to start with the first question from me, I'm with McMillian. This is a 10 out of 10 for me. I watched it twice in the span of a week. I think I started it last week, really got into it last week, finished it maybe 2 days later. And then I was like, you know what? I think I'll watch it again. But I thoroughly enjoyed the storytelling, the themes of the show that they were exploring, and the development of the characters. I cared for everyone. Maybe some more than others, but you definitely felt, for me, I definitely felt for all of the characters in the series. Sometimes I wanted to cry with or for these characters. That's how good the development it was. I think the voice actors in this series did an excellent job portraying the emotion behind the characters. Big kudos to Ella Purnell who played Jinx. That was an outstanding performance, given everything that Jinx is in this series. I just, how do you, big kudos portraying that type of yes, the voice portraying that type of emotion and portraying that type of character, and not even physically acting as the character, just doing the voice, just being in a box reading a script. Big kudos. Big kudos. Love the animation style and the use of modern music, which we don't see a lot in animated series. Most of the time they make their own music, or if they do create a song, they create a song that's in the theme of the show. But this, even starting with the intro, the Imagine Dragons intro, just gives you, it had a nice vibe to it. And it fit, in the times where they did play the music, fit very well with the scene or the emotion they were trying to portray. I also like the maturity aspect of the cartoon. I don't know much about League of Legends. I said this in episode 8. So I really didn't know what to expect coming from this animated series. But the themes that they portrayed, along with the seriousness of it, they pulled no punches, showing us anything in the show of how brutal the world is, how brutal the characters can get, as well as they did a good job portraying the emotion with profanity, but not like somebody's whole dialogue is cuss words.
That's right. Yeah.
So they did a very good job with that. I don't even think they cursed all of the series. I think it may have been like the 4th episode where Vi drops an F-bomb, and I was like, oh, I'm with it. It fit. She slid it in there real smooth. I'm good. But those are that is definitely all the things that I liked about this series. This definitely gets a food stamp of approval. I might watch it again. But what about you guys?
You want to go next?
Yeah, I'll go next. So I did absolutely love this series. However, I would give this series a 10 out of 10 because I know this could appeal to almost anybody who is a fan of good TV series with great plot, great story building. I even love the theme and the setting. I think this setting would be considered steampunk, which is like Victorian era industrial age Europe, but it's more so like it's technically like a fantasy subgenre, sub theme. I love the fact that they use this theme. The art really unique. I'm assuming it pays homage to the art style of League of Legends. Jay, I'm not very sure, but the art style for the and the animation very lovely, very unique. It's not your traditional 2D cartoons or 2D mixed with 3D animations that you see in anime, like say the old Pokemon movies. It was very unique. I did. I'm gonna be honest. I did love the series, and every part that should have pulled a heartstring did pull them. But I don't know if this is a good analogy. It didn't pull them as far as other series may have. Now, could it have been because I've watched a lot of darker series in this past year, a lot of series that have really strong emotional tones, and I prefer those? Probably. I'm not sure. But I would also agree that this series is a 10 out of 10. I know we're going to get into more of the details and the spoiler stuff, but I'm pretty sure we're already going to announce that episode 3, really intense turnaround episode. It didn't pull my heartstrings as far as other series or other movies may have. Going to be completely honest, loved it. I feel like they did everything right. Not gonna lie, I feel like they did everything right. I like you said, Portia. I feel for every character. Jinx is my favorite character because I hate her. She is my favorite character because I hate her. To be honest, I feel like I'm going to love her even more in the next season, but it didn't pull my personal heartstrings that far. But it was really good. I would definitely say this is a 10. Like, before we even get into the nitty gritty, I would give this a 10 out of 10 series. Out of all the animated series that have been out this year, let alone in the past decade that I've watched, this is a guaranteed watch. Definitely watch it. If you don't like it, I'd love to see why you don't like it. But I agree with it. It was a very great series in every aspect.
I agree.
Your two questions were what grabbed us and what
Your
why
overall.
my
Well,
overall
I
opinion on it.
I started with the overall first.
Okay,
and
so
then
we're
I
just
was
doing
gonna
overall.
go.
Okay, cool. I just want to make
Did
sure.
I do what grabbed me? I'm not sure.
No,
We're gonna
I
come
think I
back.
did
I think we're
overall.
doing
Back to
overall, and then okay. So I just want to make sure.
Okay.
So overall, if you are a fan of Gurren Otaku Council, you know one thing about McMillian, and that he loves character stories. Arcane at its center it's a masterclass at world building, but the reason for me specifically why it does it so, it's characters. Its characters
Mm-hmm.
are A grade top tier material of an example of nothing is created from a vacuum. Something has to come from something. These characters are products of their environment. They're products of like everything around them has an impact on them, and they have an impact on it itself. And it's so fun to watch this show and see the strings all connect and assemble. I
Yes.
love when stuff like that happens. And to me, that's what really truly makes it like a 10 out of 10 and a must watch. Like even if you're not a League of Legends fans, for instance, like Phthp and Ryan, you will like this show, in my opinion, if you like good narrative structure and good character. It
Most
does
definitely.
that perfectly. If you're a fan of Into the Spider-Verse, you will love it for its animation quality as well. This is another example. I hope Into the Spider-Verse, and this show specifically, solidifies the dynamic type of animation we want moving forward, because the way they told stories with their animation as well, so interesting. Episode 7 specifically has my favorite scene, and it plays with the animation to tell a story between two characters.
Mm-hmm.
Just like how like Into the Spider-Verse told us, had like the falling from a skyscraper scene to tell the story of like Miles rising to the occasion of being Spider-Man, even though he was falling down backwards. Like you got to see him rise though through the animation style. Like there's so much around this show, and you could tell that the people making it were really trying to make something special, and they really were able to capture lightning in a bottle. Like for me, that's why it's a 10/10. Just like Phthp, I rewatched it twice, had no qualms about it. Even on I would say this, on my second watch, I noticed a lot more as well.
McMillian, are you crying?
I have no idea why my eyes are watering right now. So I don't know if this is like power.
Look, that series touched him.
Hey, he is feeling this show. Yeah.
Look,
McMillian is feeling this show.
I have no idea what
100 out
my
of
eyes
10.
are watering, but
oh man, I was like, damn, my boy.
He's crying like you really loved
regardless of, I do really like this show, but that I don't even know. That's not why I'm crying. I have no idea why there are tears coming out of my eyes right now. I am very tired, but so that might have been it as well.
Oh my god, I was like, oh man.
But besides that, because that's hilarious. Definitely give this. If you have not seen it, please go do. If my tears didn't convince you,
If his tears did not convince you to go watch Arcane, I don't know what would.
and and if I can respond, McMillian really touched on something. The characters alone in this show, let me tell y'all something. I felt like I could find somebody in the world with so many similar characteristics to each of these characters. That's how real they were.
Mm-hmm.
The way they reacted, the way they talked, like McMillian said, like how they're products of their environment. If you study just even a little bit of psychology and sociology, and you see just how these characters react to different events, what, oh, that's a spoiler. Vi's character and the way that some things don't change for her because of the situations. Even something as simple as that, when you know people going through those situations, everything felt so genuine and very real, especially if you know people like this. And the
Mm-hmm.
characters alone, yes. The character building alone, yes.
I was just gonna say
Yes.
that the creators of this series, you can tell that they took their time and they cared about this series.
Mhm.
Like sometimes we watch animated series or sometimes we watch live action shows where it doesn't feel like the creators of the show didn't really care about the characters that we were watching, or they cared about them up to a point. But every detail, and I agree with McMillian, the animation style definitely adds that icing on the cake with the storytelling, because the animation plays in with the in the detail of it in certain scenes.
Mhm.
And to not give away too many spoilers, the way that the animation style changed in certain moments, to have certain moments hit harder than they would have with the original style going in. So, but to go into what grabbed us the most about the series, I have to start with episode 3 to not give away too many spoilers. But the first time I watched it, shit didn't hit the fan for me until episode 3. When I watched it the second time, I did appreciate the first 2 episodes more. But Arcane really didn't like snatch me up by my shirt until episode 3. Um that's where I was saying, was like, they did not pull any punches with this series. And it starts there. Like, everything is building up. We're meeting the characters. We're getting introduced to everybody. But that, and we're gonna get into it later. But that episode alone was like, this is what you're getting into. Strap on. Now we're in the ride.
Mhm.
The other thing that grabbed me about the series is that not only that episode, but there were so many twists and turns in this series that it was like there were moments where I knew something was going to happen. Like somebody screwed, or this is going to happen, like the oh no moments. But when the moments actually came and it turned out to be something completely different than what I thought it was, I was like, okay, you got me. So, and then like I said, the second time watching it, I guess I started seeing a greater um appreciation for the show and the characters. Like McMillian and Ryan mentioned, really seeing that these characters are products of their environment and how the actions of people before them affected the people they are now, and how their actions are affecting people in the environments and the situations going forward. And I think they did an excellent job with doing that. And I also want to bring up something that we stated in episode 8, was that the pacing. One of our biggest pet peeves were the pacing of a series. And with 9 episodes, they did a really good job at pacing this. From beginning to end, nothing felt rushed, nothing felt missing. Nothing felt half-assed or slightly explained. Every single detail, every single question, every situation was given the fair amount of attention that it needed to contribute to this overarching story. And watching it the second time, I gained a greater appreciation of what that series was trying to do. So, who's next?
You know what's funny, Portia? So to the audience, Portia and Jay basically they were talking about it, and I was like, okay, if it's that good, let me try it out. And they kept on talking about episode 3. Honestly, honestly, I was hooked on episode 1. Now the reason why, when I really enjoy a series, the first thing I do is I imagine myself living in the world. And when I watched episode 1, and you see since we're not doing spoilers, I'm not even going to try to give away too many names. When you're seeing the middle class, upper class area, and that's where you start off, then you dip down into the ghetto and the slums, and you're the characters are literally walking through, and you're seeing every aspect, the discount stands, the food, the prostitution, and you see how mature and realistic the world actually is. The second I saw that, I said I want to see more of this world. That's what honestly drew me in. And then seeing even just the fact that when we get to the I guess you could say the headquarters of the main characters or the original headquarters, just seeing like one little dynamic of trade and seeing how one character got respect, these characters are like children to this one character, and seeing all those interesting dynamics, the world alone had me hooked. I said I'm going to finish this series regardless off of episode 1. Now, episode 3 was good. And episode 3 was good. I'll definitely say if you watch episode 1 and 2 and you're like, oh, it's cool, I don't see what they're talking about, then definitely see episode
I
3
think
and
that
you
should be
will
the
surely be
selling
hooked.
point. Like, if you're
Yeah,
gonna recommend this to anybody, watch the first 3 episodes and then come
mm-hmm.
back and let me know what's up.
So what's funny
Facts.
about that is normally when I watch a TV show, I have a 3 episode rule. 3 to 5 episodes is like you got 3 to 5 episodes to sell me. Because sometimes I know some shows can be a little bit slow, so sometimes I'll give it like a 5 episode. But usually I'm like, sell me in 3 episodes. For me, what's odd about this series is I used to play League, so I already had like somewhat of an attachment to it, but also at the same time, I wasn't the biggest fan of League. So when it first came hit Netflix, I was like, oh cool, they made a Netflix show based on like the League of Legends lore. I'll come back to it. It got popular and like I had coworkers telling me to check it out and do all this, and I'm like, you know what? One of my roommates, sat me down and we watched like the first episode together. And I'm like, oh, this looks pretty cool, pretty interesting. I think it was by the second episode where I started to get more like into the characters and stuff like that. I'm like, okay, all right, it's slow burn, slow burn, slow burn. I'm learning everything about it. I'm learning about the underbelly, the up top. I'm learning about these characters and how like, well, not to get into the events, but like how one character's action resulted in another character having to deal with some other stuff, and they don't even know each other. I'm like, this is a world where
Yeah.
I'm
Mm-hmm.
getting introduced to a world.
Mm-hmm.
That was the first thing that like grabbed me and it was like, Jay, pay attention. Episode 3 is the thing that was like, oh, we are along for a ride.
Hello, strap in.
This is a roller coaster now.
Please keep your hands and feet inside the
And it
vehicle
was
at all times.
and it was
Highway to
and it was
hell.
one I was blindfolded to because we were going up the track and then the fall came and I didn't see the fall. They tricked
Yeah.
me.
That's what I'm saying. The twists and the turns in this series were very. You thought you knew, but you did not know what you did not know.
And like you said, folks, rewatching it, you gain a more understanding or appreciation of the first episode. I think specifically because everything that
Yes.
you see, you're able to connect the threads of all of it. I feel like when you rewatch it, like from the beginning, you gain a appreciation for that really small start, the spark of everything, and it's like crazy.
Exactly.
how they traveled throughout. But I think the second episode where you get to see the first intertwinement is what really sold me on the series. Is what made me want to stay, because I am big on world building and characters, and that was like the first big example of like, this is a show that's going to focus specifically on those two elements and intertwine them together, because that's how you do good. In my opinion, that's how you do good storytelling, is that you have a world and you have these characters and they are just as impactful on each other as anything else. They can't exist without the other. Is how I like to see stuff like this. So that's what really grabbed me. But 3 is definitely what was like, you are watching this and nothing else for a while. Okay.
Yes.
That was the sit down, was like that. I mean, I got sat down, and 2, 3 was like, I gotta see how this ends. So I would say if Arcane episode 1 and 2 is not hidden for you, wait till 3 and see how you feel. And if 3's not it, then this series probably not for you, unfortunately. But
yeah, I was definitely.
I honestly would love to hear, like Ryan said earlier, I would love to hear how that doesn't grab me.
I would like to hear the argument. I would love to hear the argument.
Same. You will sit before the 3 the 3 Arcane acolytes, and you will tell us why you like this series.
Why you don't like?
Because arguably, I got the most negative opinion of this series, that it didn't pull my heartstrings too far. I think I'm the only one who got somewhat of a negative opinion.
Yeah,
and that's not even negative.
No, because I mean, people feel different stuff for different things. Yeah. So I don't think that's a big negative. But I was going to say, going back to McMillian's 3-episode rule, if you don't want to use this rule for anything else, please use it for this series. Please.
Yes.
What's up, y'all? If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you can get more updates from the mob. For the full discussion and more discussions like this one, click the link in the description. Thanks for watching.
Rock with it, let me pop my shit. Let me pop my shit. Hands up.